to do it.
There you go.
Now we all hit OK. And shall we have our guest speaker introduce themselves?
That's interesting. I just found that button that I think you were talking about, but it says my video's on, so who
No worries,
knows?
Mike. Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, folks. So my name is Mike Marlin. I'm the director of the California Braille and Talking Book Library, which is, and I don't know how many of you folks are from Northern or Southern California. Um, just out of curiosity, are you from all over the state?
We are.
Okay. Good. Well, I'll mention our counterpart down in Southern California as well. So just a little bit about myself real quick. So I am legally blind. I've got retinitis pigmentosa since manifested in my teenage years. I didn't get a diagnosis until I was 21, which is a shame because I was still driving and I should not have been. So perhaps a forewarning. But I kind of lost my ability to read print in my mid to late 30s over a course of several years, and was already a professional librarian at the time. So essentially learned Braille, learned how to use assistive technology, and was able to uh, catapult myself into the world of the libraries for the blind, which is wonderful for me. Um, and there are several of us. I heard someone mention Perkins earlier, that my counterpart at Perkins Library is also a blind woman librarian. So we're always proud when uh, we can find professional librarians who are legally blind or low vision, et cetera. I also, just real quick, not this is about me or anything, but I also was pretty severely learning disabled when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and was pretty severely dyslexic. Went to a special school in Washington, D.C. called the Lab School for the Learning Disabled, and basically learned to reading large print and audio books on old reel-to-reel machines at the time. Um, and so I'm really thankful that our program also serves people with reading disabilities such as dyslexia, dysgraphia, and other motor coordination, et cetera. So we cast a wide net. Um, how many of you folks are already have children or who are patrons of our libraries or know about us? So,
Our child is.
Are you using it?
okay.
I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. Well,
for
then
us.
some of this may be a little bit redundant, but apologies for that.
No worries.
Um, we are a frontline library for Northern California for the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled, which is part of the Library of Congress, established in 1931. The California State Library started its adult Braille books program in 1904, and we sent out our first book in 1905. So we preceded the national service that was that was brought into being in 1931 with 19 regional libraries around the country. Braille Institute of America, which is the southern counterpart, the southern frontline regional library for NLS, established in 1920, was also one of those first 19. And they actually were very proactive in lobbying for a national library service for the blind. There were a lot of veterans from World War I who assembled in Los Angeles at the time. And so a lot of the activity came out of there that led to the Pratt-Smoot Act of 1931. Just a little bit of history. Um, uh, This service was essentially created initially for adult Braille books for the blind, and then in the 1931, 1934, 35, the uh, Westinghouse and a couple of other companies in New Jersey and New York essentially invented the talking book or the audio book, which was initially on reel-to-reel, but within a few years was transferred to uh, 78 RPM and 16 RPM discs. And then finally, in the late 30s, the 33 and a third RPM disc was invented for the talking book program. And not too many people know that. Um, Hopefully, you all work collectors or know about the record album,
Mhm.
presumably. I never know anymore, as far as how old people are and what their affinities are. Anyway, so the talking book started out in the 30s, um, and was interesting because initially you couldn't get a whole lot of content. And if you think about a typical novel for adults being anywhere up to 12 hours, and you can only get 16 minutes initially and then 22 minutes on a side after that. Most of the books were a suitcase worth of discs. So NLS provided the phonographs at the time, with the mandate to change the stylus after every book, which is kind of a neat little statistic. Um, and then in the later on in the 1960s and 70s, with the cassette player came into being, and then we bypassed the compact disc era because of the heavy circulation. It just wouldn't have held up and went to digital flash memory cartridges. The other thing that happened was in the 1950s, children were added to the legislation, the founding legislation, ages. I think it still is, although we certainly do a lot of emerging literacy pre-K services at many of our libraries, but um, ages 5 to infinity, I guess, is our coverage. And so as a result, we've managed to add a lot of great books for kids and for juveniles, YAs to the collection, both audio and, of course, in Braille. So uh, the materials go out initially up until the download era of recent times. Materials went out through the mail, and they still do, through a subsidy that Congress pays to the U.S. Postal Service, which is called Free Matter for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. Still called handicapped. They'd have to change the law. So even though print disabled is more a desirable term these days. Um, and so the other thing about our service is that it is intended only for people who are eligible, meaning people who are blind, low vision, basically people who have a sensory, a physical, or a perceptual reading disability, like I mentioned earlier. Um, and the way that people become eligible for the program is simply to fill out an application and get certified by a competent authority, of which there are so many different varieties of people who can certify for this service. And especially recently, where reading or learning and reading disabilities that had been only certifiable by a medical doctor, that has all changed, and now speech therapist, language coach, any teacher, TVI, um, just about anyone who works for an agency that serves the blind, the print disabled, can certify. So hopefully there are not too many hoops to jump through, except for the laborious having to fill out an application, which takes hopefully not more than half an hour or so of one's time. Um, the uh, Once someone applies for a service and we certify them, they're certified and we get them set up for service, then the books go out through the mail, as well as playback equipment. Um, and then nowadays we have the Braille and audio reading download service, which is, or fondly known as BARD, which is available as a portal website, as a PC application that allows you to transfer books and magazines directly to a thumb drive or flash memory cartridge for playback on the talking book machine, which is provided for free and sent out to folks. And then a lot of folks will also use a mobile app to listen to books as well. Are any of you, do any of your kids read Braille at all? Or we're not quite there yet?
My daughter does.
Oh, okay.
My daughter does
Wonderful.
too.
Oh, fantastic. So one of the things that NLS provides, and you may already be familiar with that, is print Braille, which is it's mostly early reading books, anywhere from Dr. Seuss through Richard Scarry, or so it actually does utilize picture books as well as chapter books. But anything that's not too lengthy, and essentially has the printed page on one side and Braille for text on the other side, so that a sighted parent and blind child, or even vice versa, blind parent, sighted child, can read together. And if you didn't know about that, you want to take advantage of it, and if you go to our catalog, I'll put our website in the chat in a couple minutes. You can look up those print Braille books and borrow them as well. And hopefully that helps with literacy and bonding for parents and kids going forward. Because lifelong learning and literacy is what we're all about. The motto of NLS is that all may read. And really that is the goal, that there's this free service. You know, I like to think of it as the best taxpayer service out there. I hope. Maybe I'm a little biased, but and so anyway, so as far as what we offer, it's primarily what a recreational reading collection, like a public library that serves sighted people. We're essentially the public library for the blind and print disabled. And with currently about 160,000-70,000 titles and growing, every year we're adding. It used to be about 2,000 to 4,000 titles a year in audio and about 650 Braille. But with the addition of commercial donations from commercial publishers, we're getting closer to 10 to 15,000 editions per year.
That's impressive.
So yeah, it's really skyrocketed since that happened. And it's really nice because with the commercial publishers, getting basically good cred for donating to us, we're able to take our budget resources and buy rarer or more niche books. NLS has been able to do some zines and some what's the word? Graphic novels even, and then also buy a lot of independent publishers that are not necessarily affiliated with the big five commercial publishers. But yeah,
How
so
does
we're
the
adding.
graphic novel work, Mike?
So that is fascinating. That the process is fast. To hear the NLS team talk about it, they basically have to write a script for narrating the novel, essentially.
Okay.
They did Art Spiegel's Mouse about the Holocaust. They did John Lewis's March. Several others, don't have at the top of my head, but yeah, it's quite amazing. And they're also looking to expand options for people, particularly in the era of tactile graphics, to have tactile maps. So, for example, what is it? George Martin's Game of Thrones. To have the map of Westeros, for example, as a Braille tactile map that can be sent out to a patron who wants it, who's reading the book, either in audio or Braille.
Right.
Stuff like that. they're trying to really expand their horizons. Narnia, uh, Lord of the Rings, not just fantasy though, but they're looking at other ways to expand graphic interpretations or representations rather. So as you can imagine, all kinds of genres, and then of course we also do have a lot of uh, course books that you would find in public education as well, such as classic novels and that sort of thing. And the reason why I bring that up is because although the school systems through the clearinghouse are do have to comply with providing alternate text for students, sometimes additional copies are needed, and especially now with the download service, there's no well, not only the download service, but the audio cartridge service. There's really no limit on the number of copies that we can produce because we're essentially uh, a cloud-based circulation operation throughout the country now. And this is as of maybe 5 years ago. Um, the collection is all in the cloud, and the cartridges are just the vessels, and we can customize the cartridges either by readers advisors helping out uh, patrons, whether they be school aged or older, as well as patrons being able to go into our catalog and customize and add titles themselves. So we're trying to be as much in the 21st century as we can. And and if those of you who are using the talking book machine now are familiar with that, hopefully it's theoretically pretty easy to use, and we've had people who are very technophobic learn how to use it in 5 or 10 minutes and then be converted. So the next generation of machine is imminent. It's going to be a Wi-Fi enabled machine where one can download directly off of the BARD service onto the machine with a lot of storage. So that's coming very soon. If that's something that you're interested in, just get in touch, let us know. And then, of course, the other thing that came out a few years ago was the Braille e-reader, which is a 20-cell Braille display that we provide free to any patron who's learning Braille, who's already a Braille reader. And I know that our younger population of patrons have been eating it up, and so you know, kids nowadays, blind kids as well, of course, are the digital natives. So hopefully, if they're old enough to be learning Braille and whatnot, that's something that you could take advantage of as well as a parent. Let them know about that if they don't know already. Talked about eligibility, what we offer. Institutional accounts. One of the things that I think I mentioned in my blurb that I sent out about being a well-kept secret, um, for despite trying every year and reaching out to all the school districts, we have very few of them who take advantage as an institutional account, which is essentially a free account where they can borrow machines and download or borrow cartridges, borrow Braille books, etc. And with the only caveat that we ask for the names of the children, this is an NLS requirement that we have the names on file. So a lot of folks out there will have their both a individual account for their child as well as the child being able to participate through the institution as well. But we have more individual accounts than we do institution accounts. So if you guys want to spread the word to your school districts, if they don't know about us already, that would be wonderful.
What do you do to let them know already? Do you send them annual notices?
We send them annual letters reminding them about the service. I mean, uh, we try to go through get the TVI lists that we can and find out which school districts are going to be um, already have blind children, but blind students rather. A lot of times we don't know, and it's just sort of a cold calling type of email or print letter that we send out. Um, we're trying to work more with the Department of Ed about this, especially with uh, the uh, the legislation for registering kids with reading disabilities for I think it's ages K through 2. It's going into effect. I think it may have already gone into effect. So we're working to try to get do what Texas did, which was they passed a law that anyone who has registered their kid with a learning disability, that the state gives them information about the Talking Book Library. So we're hopeful that as the ages are expanded over I think it's over the next 5 or 10 years, that we'll be able to reach more parents with learning disabled kids as well. The last thing that I was going to talk about just real briefly is the summer reading program. Um, Let me see if I can get into, see if I can.
So along the lines of the summer reading program, my question is, my daughter
Yeah,
would much more like to listen to stories than to
yeah,
actually read them in Braille. And I've been
okay.
hearing that there's a trend where a lot of students have been a little more lazy about reading in Braille and they would prefer to do the same. What advice would you give to us parents who have children that fall into that category?
Well, we don't really want to preach. I mean, we support Braille literacy and we
Yeah.
advocate, we're advocates, but on the other hand, we we're not we as state employees, we can't really advocate one for all we can do is offer as a library offer all the options.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
I understand where you're coming from. Totally, I do.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
yeah, I know I have lots of friends, and I've heard other parents talk raise the same issue.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Our uh, our idea was to just encourage reading, and
Yeah.
so we've got, we tried to make the bingo cards. I don't know if you've seen those, where people can get Braille bingo and win prizes.
Mhm.
We don't have a limit. We have for adults. We used to do 10 books for adults, and then cut it down to 5 because for some reason, and then the number of participants doubled. So, it's funny and it's ironic because we have so many people who are just rabid readers who
Mhm.
read 30 books a week. So
Wow.
a lot of those are older folks who had despaired losing the ability to read and now find out that they can, and they're lifelong readers, and so it works out.
Wow.
But for kids, we give prizes no matter how many books. So if you read one, great. If you read 20, 30,
Oh.
wonderful. But Baskin Robbins, $10 gift certificate, and either a plush BTBL puppy with a little BTBL logo vest on it, or
Mhm.
some earbuds if they want to go that route. But we've been doing that for about 6 or 7 years now. And let me put our website in too. So
Thank you.
what I gave you was the NLS. What I gave you initially was the National Library Service, which is in tandem with all the local, not all of them, but most of the regional libraries around the country have some of their own local summer reading program. Several of them have winter reading programs. We're thinking about doing that. We haven't quite gotten there yet. Um, People tend to read in the winter more anyway for whatever reason. Um, but
Interesting.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I guess people are inside more, and um, Yeah, I don't know what the reasoning is for that. What was I going to say? Uh, oh yes, I'm sorry. The NLS summer reading program is almost over. There's only one event left, which is a musician performance. There was a great program last week about uh, cooking and gardening. Uh, and then there was with I think it was a master chef who, a blind woman who won. Trying to remember her name. You may have heard about this. Um, so that's one of and the programs are all recorded. So if you go to that page, you should be able to check them out. Um, I think I covered, I mean, I can, I could talk all day and night about the library and how important reading is. And um, certainly how we work with and try to partner with all the different vocational agencies who serve the blind and print disabled around Northern California. And then the Braille Institute in LA has a satellite centers in San Diego and Santa Barbara as well. Um, I did forget to say that we serve about 8,000 individuals and a couple hundred institutions. They serve maybe about 12,000. Um, so roughly, but we also have a sub-regional library in San Francisco and Fresno through their public libraries respectively. And that's a couple more thousand more. So really in California, we're serving about 45,000 individuals. And as
Wow.
you all may know, that is a fraction of the eligible population for our service,
Mhm.
which if you look at, if California Public Health Survey or American Foundation of the Blind, we're looking at possibly 1.2 million people in California. Definitely the last census I saw is 760,000. So, and that doesn't include reading disabled.
Wow.
So, that's what I mean. We're such a well-kept secret and at our heyday, NLS was serving about 500,000 people around the country in the 50s and 60s, and now we're down to about 250 to 300,000. And we're not always looking all over our shoulder, but we're concerned because
Mhm.
NLS reports to Congress, and uh, Congress is all about quote unquote efficiency. And so we also know that blindness is not a partisan issue, and so both parties have been incredibly supportive of the program, including in California as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, like I say, uh, I can
Well,
come up
let's
with other
see.
topics, but I don't want to run
Yeah.
over time, and then you guys may have some questions as well.
Yes, I was going to say, do you have any questions? Anyone on the call have any questions for Mike?
I had a quick question, Mike. My
Mhm.
daughter, she does have one of the little e-readers,
Okay.
but my daughter's still young, so we haven't
Uh-huh.
really had the opportunity to play with it too much. And
Okay.
so, do you guys offer any type of training, or is there someone that we could actually call and have like if we needed questions or do you have any training options for that
When you
device?
say training, do you mean training on how to use the machine itself, or do you mean training in terms of Braille?
No, on how to use the machine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, any of our libraries, you can call. There's several staff at each library who are pretty well versed. There's also there's a lot of good documentation for it as well. Depending on what kind of learner you are or your child is. Um, but by all means, call or email your local library, whether it's us or Fresno, San Francisco, Sacramento, or LA, and we'll help you out to the best of our abilities. Absolutely.
Okay,
We
thank
we
you.
definitely do tech support. And if we can't figure it out, there is tier two support through NLS, which occasionally we have to do,
Mhm.
but hopefully not.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Any other questions? I think we're close to time, aren't we?
For me running my big mouth, I'm sure that's true.
No, it was perfect. No, it was, I felt that was exactly what we needed. Thank you so much, Mike. I'm glad that.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Sorry about the lack of video. I'll
Oh,
try to
don't worry.
fix